Well, good evening, everybody. And welcome to a new live episode of He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective, because one perspective is not enough. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Alvin King. And let me tell you, it feels good to be back here. It feels good to be in this seat. And it feels good to kick off season 5 with all of you. I have really missed you guys. But being away, it definitely didn't turn off all the noise and the news. And we're back tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here with you. And it feels really wonderful. Now, listen, while we were on our 9-week hiatus, the world didn't take a break. The news didn't slow down. And if anything, it came at us harder, faster, and with more twists than any one of us could have predicted. And tonight, we're diving into it with our season 5 return of Let's Get Newsy 39. So let's start with the headlines that shook us to the core while we were away. First, we watched in disbelief as 2 National Guard soldiers were ambushed, reminding us in this country that once again, that the uniform doesn't protect you from the dangers of division, extremism, or the very real consequences of the rhetoric that continues to divide our nation. And meanwhile, right here in Washington, D.C., a political earthquake hit the city when Mayor Muriel Bowser announced that she would not seek another term. Whether you applauded her or questioned it, one thing's for sure: the decision is going to reshape the future of the District of Columbia in many ways. And we're going to talk about that a little later. And then, because apparently, out there, someone said, let's make it harder. We saw SNAP benefits cut, directly impacting thousands of families already struggling to make ends meet. Minimum wage incomes aren't stretching. Food prices aren't dropping, but somehow someone thought cutting SNAP made sense in this moment. We also witnessed the ongoing dismantling of the Affordable Care Act, of which some of you all think is called Obamacare, piece by piece, line by line, leaving millions of Americans wondering if the next year they'll still be able to see their doctors, fill their prescriptions, or even step into an emergency room without fear of financial ruin. And if you think the chaos didn't stop there, no. We watched the rise, okay? Get ready, it didn't. We watched the rise of Zohran Mondami in New York, the newest mayor with a vision that's shaking up one of the most powerful cities in the world. Whether he becomes a model or a cautionary tale is something, in the next few months that will reveal itself to us. And trust me, everybody's watching. And nationally, the 2025 primaries delivered a Democratic blue wave that nobody saw coming at this scale. The political wind shifted, and in some cases, blew people right out of their seats. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene found herself pushed out of the GOP, proving that eventually even chaos gets tired of chaos. And then there's the big one, the headline that became a lifestyle, the historic government shutdown of 2025 that happened right after we signed off. Weeks of closures, confusion, fear, frustration, no paychecks, federal workers sidelined, programs halted, communities left in limbo, the longest shutdown in modern history, with consequences that are still unfolding. And yes, while we were gone, the world was not quiet. Politics, sports, entertainment, fashion, every corner of our culture gave us something to talk about. And that is exactly why we are here tonight, once again with you, ladies and gentlemen, to break it down, to make sense of it, to laugh a little bit, to engage you a little bit, to challenge a lot, and to give you the perspectives that you don't always hear, but absolutely need to talk about. So buckle up, because season 5 is starting right now. And if I may say, we will be a little bit past 8 o'clock tonight because we're coming back and we're excited. So I just want to make sure that, you grab 2 drinks if you need 2 drinks. Bobby is backstage. Shawn is backstage. The table is set, as you can see. The mics are hot, and we definitely have a lot to say. Again, this is He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. And because one perspective is not enough, we are here for you. I'm Alvin King, and if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat. Woo! Hey, boys. A lot was going on while we were away.
A lot was going on. And that was a wonderful opening dialogue, I should point out. That really summarized a lot of really interesting things that happened since we were last on the air. So to my brothers, cheers.
Oh, hold on. I'm not going to go. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, everybody. Well, first of all, before we really get into it, can we say hi? Some of our folks have come back to see us, and we really do appreciate it. Monica Pleasant, Rick Irick, I don't know where you are in the world, but I'm so glad that you are with us tonight. Let me see. Shawn Holmes is here. Michelle Bowie is here. Mark Brown is back. Rodney Bryant is here. Thank you all for showing up and being with us tonight. Absolutely. It really means a lot. So, before I get into it, I just want to make sure I check in with the guys. You guys are doing okay? Because I really missed you all. I really did. I did.
I'm doing well. I missed you guys too. I must confess that those first couple of Fridays were like really weird. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing the show, but you know what? I could go out to dinner or I could just watch another, but soon it began to feel weird. I'm like, I'm supposed to be doing something else on Friday night. So
it took a toll after like the 5th week and all the news kept coming out. So I was like, I want to talk to them about this.
But I would say this. I'm going to quote Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman. The Penguin tried to kill me. The Batman tried to kill me. You tried to kill me. 4 or 5. I'm still alive.
Come on, Michelle Pfeiffer.
There are times that you just don't know what's going to come out that man. Who would think that Shawn would be quoting Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman?
It's a great movie. She's the ultimate Catwoman.
She's a bad Catwoman. I'm gonna give her that. She's a bad Catwoman.
she was one of the best. I have to admit. JJ, we didn't say hi to you. Welcome to the show tonight. Darren Henderson, welcome to the show tonight. Darren Wheeler, welcome to the show tonight. And I got to tell you all, for the chat, because season 4, you guys taught us something that was very important to us, and that is you all have something to say. And we want to make sure that we use this platform to do that. So, in the whole scheme of bringing you something bigger and better for season 5, we're going to bring you something new for the chat. And we're going to bring you all a topic that we know you all want to weigh in. So get your little clicking fingers together, okay, and start typing.
And can I just say something before you get into that chat?
Sure.
I just want to say that I hope that our viewers enjoyed our new opening reel as well. Alvin's been working really hard.
Very hard.
New look with the new season and so forth. So we really want you to take a moment with the next show to really look at all the bumpers that we have and the opening reel. We've got some new pics in there and all that. So I want to just shout out our primary host, Mr. Alvin King, for pulling together a new image for season 5.
Yes, he did.
Thank you, guys. And they know I don't look for that kind of applause, but because I do it out of love for them and us. You know what I'm saying? Because we are truly a team on here. And Stephanie, my dear, hello, love. Your husband just told me you online, so I see you. How you doing, girl? How you doing? Thank you. But for our chat, we're gonna bring a topic to you, and so every week. So tonight, if we could just pull up, if I could ask my producer to pull up that first picture, but before we start, there's a picture I want everybody to look at. I want you all to get a good look at that picture right there, because that's what we're going to talk about. See if you can remember this. Well, that image is hardly or ever anymore. So tonight for our chat, we're going to dive into the debate that refuses to go away. In fact, it keeps on growing like a nasty rash. And we're talking about pajamas and head bonnets in public, and particularly at the airports, but it don't stop there. We're going to get into that. But this conversation fired back up after the TSA director made a comment about dressing appropriately for travel. Mm-hmm. And what's wild about all this is that actress and Oscar winner Monique said this exact same thing years ago. Yeah. And some of your friends, you practically dragged her across the whole floor for that. So now folks are circling back like, well, maybe she wasn't wrong. So I want to ask the panel and you guys, has comfort culture gone too far? Are pajamas in the terminals fashion choice? Or have we stopped caring about how we present ourselves in public? And finally, where do the bonnets fall? Protection, practicality, or not for public space? So get set, ready, go.
It's not comfort culture. It's lazy culture.
Speak more to that, Shawn. What are you talking about? Lazy. Oh.
But we are all of a certain age, and we all grew up being told by our parents and our grandparents to ever leave the house undressed. We had school clothes that we got out of when we came home from school. And so we grew up in a culture where, as Black people, wherever you're going, but whenever you left the house, you always left looking decent, no matter your income level.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think it was about, and I think back to that exhibit at the Met Gala that talked about the dandy and just the whole notion of how, particularly in America, for African Americans and Black people in general, that our clothing has also been a calling card. It's been a way of proving acceptance and, really like being able to be appropriate for, whatever is called for in that particular situation. I certainly remember when we were growing up traveling, we looked like we were going to church if we were going,
you wanted to look good getting on that plane because you don't know who you gonna run into, and hopefully it could be your next boo, your bae, or whoever. You wanted to make sure that you looked appropriate, not to mention for yourself as well. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, right. And as children, that I think our parents felt that the way that we looked was reflective of them, like it was a representation of them taking care of us, our family. Those kinds of things. I must say to you that I am not a big fan of people walking around in pajama pants and, like the loungewear, like they're loungewear. So why it shouldn't be out in the street. But what I will say though, I do want to be, I know our target audience, and I know that the images particularly portrayed people that look like us. But I also want to be clear that we are not the only ones guilty of this lack of.
I wanted you to say, Bobby, and to that point, while we were gathering images for this, it was a hard find for no find white folks in this. Now, again, to your point, I know
not in bonnets and
white folks in it. Right. I'm sorry.
Go to Walmart. That's all I'm gonna say.
But not just Walmart. Go to Whole Foods. Go to Safeway grocery stores. I'm telling you, it is lazy culture. And what I mean is that for some reason, people have gotten to the point where they believe that they don't have to be presentable. They don't have to shower to go anywhere. They don't have to shower to go to the gym, which is why some folks smell a certain way at the gym. You got to move away from them. You go to the grocery store and you see this. Even that, like I said, Whole Foods or what have you, and they're touching your fruit, they're touching your produce, they're touching packages, and I don't know what they just come from.
Yeah, I think it is an issue, but I do think that more so than the TSA director being concerned about what I have on. I'd like you to make sure that flights are safe, that air traffic controllers are being paid, and that flights are going to be on time.
Now, I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. And I a couple of things. First of all, let me acknowledge some of these comments.
I'm curious. I want to hear it.
First of all, Dane at 202 4 more. I've never seen you before, so thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. And then Rick Irick said it, as much as he, he's like that, he's never seen men in pajamas at airports. And so I do want to say to Rick, as much as that may be generally true, it's outside of the airports. I brought up the story about the airport because that's like all of a sudden it's become a main topic because someone under this administration has said it. John Reed said that my parents always said, when you leave the house, you have to represent the house. Amen. Amen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Michelle said, I so low. Ooh, she said loathe anyone beside anyone. But she said, I loathe bonnets anywhere besides the house. Pajamas also should be left in the house. And Mark Brown says exactly, we were told always, look your best when you leave your house. PJs need to stay inside the home and bonnets too. And Michelle finally said, it is every culture, not just African American. And that
I will say this also. This is in my mind very comparable to the whole notion of sagging. Because I also don't want to see, half your behind hanging out your pants, sitting on public seating with your underwear because your pants are so low that it kind of ties back to, again, what Shawn was saying in terms of it's
lazy culture,
but it's a cultural thing.
Well, it's also and I know as we round the last 2 minutes, it's also a fashion thing. But not everybody should be wearing designer clothes. Okay, just because it says Gucci and Dior don't mean that you should put it on your bidet. It doesn't mean that you should do that. And we know that to be true. But bonnets are now fashion. And I saw a guy at the gym, a couple of guys who are wearing bonnets now at the gym. And I can't understand. I don't know what they have under their hair, but bonnets is just like
it's an X. It's an X.
And Alvin, I'm surprised that you used the word fashion to describe a bonnet because it clearly is not, well, I'm saying my personal opinion, a fashion, because when I think of fashion, it's something that's generally accepted by society as a whole. Like, for example, a certain Jordache jeans back in the 80s, okay, that was a fashion statement if you had Jordache jeans because it was pretty much universally accepted. Bonnets at the gym, it's not accepted. So I don't really consider that a fashion thing, not even subculture. I think a lot of this, like I said, it's lazy culture, but I think that also stems from people just being so apathetic about going out into the public and how they look. So they're not self-aware. Okay.
And do you think this was exaggerated by the pandemic?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it was exaggerated. That is a very good question. I don't have the answer to. But I want to say to Shawn about fashion, someone who you're going to talk about tonight had bonnets on their runway. So what? I'm just going to say I'm just going to say that. So I'm just going to say that and move back so we can move on. But thank you to everybody who weighed in on this. I mean, clearly, again, our audience, you seem to share the same sentiments that we have. You know what I mean? Come on, do better.
Do better. And we knew when Alvin pitched this concept of inviting you guys to join us more frequently with the chat, we knew you would rise to the occasion, and you did. So thanks for participating in and giving us your thoughts as well.
It is, and believe me, more coming. So if you guys are ready, like I said, we're about to get newsy with you, and we just got a few topics that we want to talk to you about that was heavy on our mind. And so Bobby and Shawn, if you were ready, I gotta say this, y'all skin look good. I'm looking at my skin. I'm like, maybe it was a 9-week hiatus or something. I'm just saying, y'all been taking care of your skin, drinking water, because y'all look good.
Well,
thank
thanks a lot, but don't try to cover up the fact that you were being like very fabulous while we were on hiatus, like leaving the country
exactly.
and doing all kinds of so don't, thanks for the compliment, but Shawn and I, thank you. I'll just put it at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my violin that I play sometimes when I'm talking to them. So thank you for that. So if you guys are ready, let's if you all are ready, let's get newsy with these folks. Okay,
Yes.
let's do it. All right. So, okay, who's going to take it away tonight?
I am going to start us off tonight. And this is a story that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. As you mentioned earlier, our three-term mayor, Muriel Bowser, has announced that she will not be seeking a fourth term as mayor of this great, fascinating international city. She's stepping down for various reasons. She did give an interview to NBC News and various organizations, and she said it was the hardest thing she had to do. She also said that she accomplished things that she had set out to do. And those are some of the reasons why she stated that she is not running for re-election. She also mentioned her family and that she was going to pass the torch on to the next generation of leaders. But her stepping down or not running for re-election has opened up a plethora of issues when it comes to DC politics. The next primary is June 16th, okay? And with that, people are putting their names into the basket in terms of who's going to be the next mayor. Mm-hmm. Now, people are speculating that the current at-large city council member, Kenya McDuffie, will put his name into the basket for mayor. He's been wanting to be mayor for a very, very long time, and we just might see that happen this time. But he's going to have some competition. We also have council member from Ward 4, Janice Lewis George. She has officially announced that she plans to run for DC mayor. Now, she comes from the same ward that our current mayor, Muriel Bowser, comes from. So basically, Ms. George replaced the mayor when the mayor became, when Muriel Bowser became mayor of Washington, D.C. Now, why is this big news? Because this is Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital, and the mayor having to deal with the White House this particular year, 2025, she had to deal with something that most mayors around the country don't have to do with, and that is Donald Trump. And I personally believe that dealing with that has played into her decision not to seek re-election. And I don't envy it. I don't envy her for not wanting to deal with this man for another 2 years. But it's going to make DC's primary next year very, very chaotic, because with her stepping down, Kenya McDuffie may have to give up his seat to run for mayor, which means also that Janice George, if she wins, her seat will become open, which means that more folks will jump into the race. With that, we're also going to have some other big elections going on. So we go to the next image, please. Mm-hmm. So we have our delegate to the U.S. Congress, Ms. Eleanor Holmes Norton. Okay, she is, of course, 88 years of age, and people have been asking her to step down. She has not yet decided if she's going to run for re-election or not, but 2 current council members have joined the race. First is Council Member Robert White. He has announced that he's going to be running against his former boss, Ms. Eleanor Holmes Norton. Now, some folks are very excited about this, although some also thought that he was going to run for mayor, but he has said, no, he's not going to run for mayor. He's going to stick with running for the U.S. delegate. But he's going to have some competition from his co-worker, who's also on the council, Ms. Brooke Pinto. She represents Ward 2 in Washington, D.C. Now, she is someone who I know and many of us believe has lots and lots and lots of money, which could have an impact in a way that people wouldn't expect in this upcoming primary in June. Now, next, we're also going to have, let's go to the next screen, the next image. We have our Attorney General, Mr. Brian Schwab. Okay, he's also has the stats to run for re-election, but here's the thing. His job has been threatened by Mr. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is threatening to get rid of DC's independently elected Attorney General, Brian Schwab. So if that happens, that's going to create more chaos in Washington, D.C. Okay, next person we have Mr. Trayon White. Of course, as you know, he is in a lot of federal trouble. He is set to go to trial for bribery. Okay, if he is convicted, that means he would have to give up his seat, which will open up another race in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C. Okay, and we're not done yet. There are other things that will impact Washington, D.C. in terms of elections. Next image, please. We have the lovely Miss Anita Bonds, who is age 80. She has yet to decide if she's going to run for re-election or not, but again, her age is something that is coming up. She has been a staple of DC for many, many decades, but if she decides to run, she already has competition. Okay, and then the next stage is Brianna Nadeau. This is another interesting story that's going to have an impact on Washington, D.C. because for the very first time in many decades, her seat, Ward 1, will not have an incumbent running for that race. So what I'm saying with this story is that we're going to have a lot of new faces on the D.C. Council come November 2026.
Ooh, Lord.
Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I guess I won't be throwing my name in the hat then this year.
Yeah, it's kind of crowded. You may want to do something else. I mean, I'm sure you can find something else to do.
And I want to find out Robert White has also been a guest on He Said. Yes,
well. and we plan to have him on again. Okay, but thank you for giving us that update, especially about Ward 4, because I'm in Ward 4, and and Bobby's in Ward 4, and there's some real concerns that we have. But thank you, Shawn, for bringing that to us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, that was the investigative part that he likes doing, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that political stuff. Okay, so I'm going to take us in a slightly different direction, but something that I think a lot of us are familiar with. How many of us remember growing up with? I think we're going to go to an image that will be familiar to you. Yes, the Campbell's soup can. Like, raise your hand, folks. Chime in. Tell me if Campbell's soup cans were in your cabinets. You know they were.
Still,
so this was the go-to soup. So they just recently fired one of their executives who was recorded saying that the company's products were for poor people. This guy right here. So the Campbell's company said that it has fired their executive who was recorded making racist comments and mocking the company's products and its customers. Martin Bally, a vice president in Campbell's Information Security Department, was named in a lawsuit filed last week by Robert Garza, a former Campbell's employee who said that he was fired January 30th after he reported this gentleman's comments. And here you can see some of it. Campbell Soup executive says that he and his family would never eat the products his company produces because it's for poor people and it's made with 3D printed meat. Okay? He literally was suggesting not only is it for poor, but that it really uses non-natural ingredients. He also went on to describe some of his co-workers of Indian descent as idiots, so that they couldn't learn, and he hated working next to them. So Campbell's went on to have a final statement that said that they felt that they issued a response focused on condemning the comments and defending its products. The company stated that the vulgar, offensive, and false comments did not reflect its values and culture, and that Campbell's also expressed pride in its food, the people who make it, and the quality ingredients used. Regarding specific claims about meat, Campbell's released an information clearing that they do not use artificial or biogenerated meat, but rather real chicken from U.S. suppliers. This is disheartening on a variety of levels.
It really is. Because I just want to go upstairs and just take my hand and pour because I have, Campbell's soup is that soup that sometimes you keep for like 8 months. It's
American soup. I know
soup,
once we got jobs and stuff like that, I know we went on up to Progresso and all some of those other but Campbell soup is a go-to soup.
There was one good thing to come out of that story, though, and that is a plethora of people went on Instagram to teach us, many of us, how to make homemade cream of mushroom soup, cream of celery soup, so you can use them in other dishes. So that was a positive.
Because of this story?
Because of this story. Yeah.
Because of this story. Hey.
Who knew?
Okay, well, can you just send me that link because I'm about to get all the Campbell suits out of my cupboard. But thank you, Bobby, for that, because I honestly did not know that. And since we're in the store right now, one of my favorite stores, Costco. Yes, the warehouse giant is suing the Trump administration for what they're calling a full refund on import tariffs that they were forced to pay this year under the emergency powers orders. Here's the deal, because it took me a lot. I had to gather this and understand what was going on, because Costco give good rebates. Those tariffs came under the 1997 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a law meant for national security emergencies, not sweeping, broad-ranging import taxes. Costco argues that using the emergency powers for tariffs oversteps presidential authority. Imagine that. Costco isn't just asking for a halt on future collections. It wants back every single dollar it paid. And they filed the suit now because once import bills are finalized, a process called liquidation happening soon, the chance to reclaim those payments could disappear forever. Why does Costco think they can do this? Because legally, courts have already struck down some of these tariffs as unlawful. The Supreme Court is now weighing in whether the president has the authority to impose them in the first place. If the court says no, refunds may be owed. Come on, Costco. And Costco wants to get theirs, be the first in line.
They want it.
And for the administration, this is a major blow. If Costco succeeds, it could open up the floodgates. Dozens of hundreds of companies might demand refunds. That could shake the foundation of the tariff strategy, potentially unraveling massive revenue streams and undermine the use of emergency powers for trade policy. So this isn't just about one retailer. It's about retracting the boundary between presidential power and Congress's role in trade, between emergency law and economic policy. And Costco is betting the legal system might finally say that, this line has been crossed. So stay tuned, because if they win, it just won't be a victory for Costco. It's going to reshape how America does tariffs, taxes, and the tariffs for many years to come that this person has destroyed. So, but Costco,
at a time when we were being encouraged to really be mindful about where we apply our black dollars and so forth, and stores that we should avoid, this was just yet another affirmation of sending my little black dollar on over to Costco. Right. It's not having it.
Costco was one of the only, manufacturers, if you will, that stood up to them and said, we don't care about your whole fear of DEI and all this other kind of stuff. They were ones who stood up. So I'm glad I got an opportunity to share that story with you guys. So
absolutely.
I think it's a bigger story than people realize, because it is these tariffs have had a great impact on the U.S. economy. And it kind of takes me into the next story, which is all about the U.S. economy that people don't quite realize. And that is artificial intelligence. Okay. So let me explain this, because this is a pretty complicated story. And for those who don't really follow AI or technology, it could be a bit tricky. So basically, we feel the pain when we go to the grocery store and we see the prices are not going down. But listening to the news, you would think that the economy is doing very well. They are saying that based on 7 IT companies that are called the Magnificent Seven: Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Meta, Alphabet, which is known as Google, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. These companies are what's really inflating the economy numbers to make it seem like things are going well when they actually really are not. And what are these companies doing? They are spending billions upon billions into investing in AI. And guess what? They're not really getting that much of a return on the investment. They're making it seem like they're turning a profit or what have you, but it's what they're calling circular spending. So basically, and these companies, these 7 companies, plan to spend about $3 trillion, $3 trillion now, on AI investment, primarily on data centers. Now, what does this mean? So let me explain to you what circular spending is and what these companies are actually doing. So circular spending, as defined, refers to a dynamic where these tech giants invest heavily in each other's AI-related products and services, which can artificially inflate the perceived demand and revenue with a sector. For example, Microsoft might invest billions in OpenAI, which is partly owned by Microsoft, to buy chips from NVIDIA, while NVIDIA in turn invests in AI startups that then purchase NVIDIA's chips. This cycle boosts the revenue and market value of all involved companies, leading to concerns that growth is not entirely organic or based on actual end user demand. So there you have it. People, we need to pay attention to what's actually happening economically when it comes to these IT companies, because they are raking in lots of money thinking that, okay, this is going to trickle down to us. And there are skeptics who are saying that this is not going to happen. These 7 companies are inflating the economy. We are basically struggling, but what's the word here? They said they're hiding the debt.
So, Shawn, I got a question for you regarding this story. So when you say, I mean, in sharing this story, what, if you know, can people do hearing this story and knowing that these major companies are doing what they're doing and AI taking over the way it is? Is there anything, I mean, like from writing our Congress members to letting them know that we know what's going on? Is there anything that we can do, that we can share with everybody?
Yes, writing your congressman, your congresswoman, yes, you can do that. But what you can do in the immediate, and this is pretty daunting, is that on your iPhones, your Facebook pages, Instagram, etc., you go into your settings, go into your privacy settings, and make sure that your data is not being used for AI. I don't say research, but for AI building, to teach the AI how to do what they want it to do. So you're going to have to go into all of your devices and your apps and just start going through your security settings, your privacy settings, and just say, hey, no, I opt out of this. Because right now, for the most part, we are all opt in, and we don't even know it.
That will send the message. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, okay. Well, you know, I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction, because this is a very passionate topic for me, and I consider it to be a top story because last Monday, December the 1st, was World AIDS Day. And the United States federal government broke a nearly 4-decade-long tradition by declining to officially commemorate the day. It is the first time since the day was established in 1988 that the U.S. has failed to recognize it. According to internal guidance from the U.S. Department of State, federal agencies, employees and grantees were instructed to refrain from publicly promoting World AIDS Day using government funds or through public messaging, including social media, speeches, or media engagements. The decision comes amid sweeping cuts to domestic and global HIV/AIDS funding, including dramatic reductions to foreign aid programs and PEPFAR, which is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, prompting experts to warn that decades of progress in treatment, prevention, and awareness could be undermined. Public health advocates and HIV, activists have condemned the move. Many draw stark parallels to the early days of the epidemic, when the stigma, neglect, and silence encapsulated by the activist slogan, "Silence equals death," most countless lives. The absence of artificial recognition this year is seen by many as a regressive step. And in defense, the State Department spokesperson argued that an awareness day is not a strategy, suggesting that the administration commemoration as symbolic, not a substitute for action. But given the ongoing global AIDS crisis with millions still living with HIV and prevention and treatment efforts at stake, many experts argue that the symbolic recognition matters, especially for reducing stigma, raising public awareness, and signaling national commitment. So I'm gonna pose this question to the viewers. Do you believe it's still important for the U.S. government and other institutions to officially observe World AIDS Day? And if so, why do you feel that way? Because what it does mean in 2025 to recognize the day publicly, or I'm sorry, let me ask that question again. What does it mean today in 2025 to recognize this day publicly and collectively? And I want to just say, I think it's very important that we continue to recognize World AIDS Day, because a lot of people don't know what many of us went through. And I mean, we're of that age where, I won't say for Shawn, but I can say for Bobby and myself, where we actually saw it enter into our lives and impact our lives in ways that we couldn't have comprehended. So,
quite personally, as I've shared with our audience before, having lost my own sister, my only younger sister to HIV and AIDS. It's so, I you know, and the acknowledgement is critical and important because it reminds us of something that was very significant, and not just on a national level, but on a global level. But I also know that the acknowledgement is a first step. Like I want to make sure that they are making sure that people who are impacted by HIV and AIDS are still able to survive and to live by the medicines and the support that they can get from the medical community. And so given some of the policies that I have seen around healthcare and access to it, it's very concerning to me that it's just yet another step of stepping back from being able to support people as we should.
It's quite dangerous, if you ask me, and essentially because I was just at a conference or at a meeting a few days ago at Howard University Law School, and the discussion was about health to wealth for our community. And I wanted to ask the question, well, how can we get to wealth in terms of health when capitalism is at the root of all of this? Yeah, and we just got word a few days ago that right here in our own backyard, in the Oxon Hill community, right there in Southern Maryland, Southern PG County, there are like 8,000 people living with HIV.
That's right.
And of course, earlier this year we heard about DR, the Dominican Republic, where it's like 25,000.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and it's quite hurtful that supposedly the most powerful country on the planet, is choosing money over taking care of its most valuable resource, which is its people.
Right. Right. John Reed has weighed in. He said, most of the CEOs were at the inauguration. This is going back to your AI conversation, Shawn. And he said that, yes, the acknowledgement is important, but is this surprising, which is not, that Trump canceled NIH grants, the research funding for HIV and AIDS? And so
that's what I'm saying. Like, the acknowledgement is one thing, but we need to keep we need to, as Mark Brown is saying, it keeps it in the forefront of our minds and acknowledging it. But we also just need to make sure, as Shawn was pointing out, like, people are living today with this virus,
right,
and need support. So it's not just about the past. It's how do we support people whose lives depend on medical support.
Well, and let me say that people are living better. We've seen the worst. I won't say the worst. We've seen people are living
what we hope would ever be the worst.
People are living with this, and that's because of all the research.
Absolutely.
And all the new discoveries, if you will, that have brought it to this forefront. So this is just another evil attempt to erase something
Absolutely.
that he feels, that this administration feels, can impact them. But
Absolutely. Because what we know, based upon the research that we've all been talking about, getting a diagnosis of being HIV positive was no longer seen as a death sentence, if you will. Like at one point where it began, when you first got that diagnosis, people just thought that their lives were over. And we've been able to see people live long, fulfilling lives with the virus as a result of that research. And so to know that he has stopped grants that support this kind of research puts us closer to going back to where we were. And
evil.
Concerning.
Yeah. It's just pure evil. So thank you.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to take us in a slightly different direction. We'll talk about a political alliance that once was quite strong that seems to be experiencing a little bit of stress and strain. Now, Governor Josh Shapiro lashed out over former Vice President Kamala Harris's portrayal of his interview to become her 2024 running mate, calling Harris's retellings complete and utter expletive, intended to sell books and cover her expletive, according to the most recent article in The Atlantic. Shapiro, Pennsylvania's first-term Democratic governor, now is seen as a likely presidential contender in 2028, departed from his usual composed demeanor and rehearsed comments in this lengthy Atlantic profile to suggest that in the book, 107 Days, Harris described Shapiro as poised, polished, and personable when he traveled to DC to interview to become her running mate. Now, however, Harris also said in her book that she suspected Shapiro would be unhappy as a second in command, and that he peppered her with questions that she wrote and said he asked questions about the vice president's residence, from the number of bedrooms to how he might rearrange to get Pennsylvania artists work on loan from the Smithsonian. And so it just, that he was asking questions that made her feel a little uncomfortable about him being number two. She wrote in her book, he said, so when he was being interviewed, and he said, so she wrote that? She actually said those things? And so he said, well, that is complete and utter expletive. Shapiro reportedly told The Atlantic, when asked about Harris's account, that he had been imagining the potential art for the vice presidential residence. I can tell you that her accounts are just blatant lies, is what he said. So when Shapiro was asked by The Atlantic whether or not he felt betrayed by Harris, which is the bottom line in terms of this article, does he ultimately feel betrayed? He said, I mean, she's trying to sell books and cover her expletive. He quickly reframed his response to say, I shouldn't say cover her expletive. I think that's not appropriate. She's just trying to sell books, period.
First of all, if President Obama has a pouty mouth, I guess John Shapiro can have one too. Because
Mama came out with a potty mouth when she was talking about some folks.
So. Wow. Well, what can you say to that? He's like,
it feels like based upon what she was saying, that he almost arrived with the presumption that he was going to be it. Frankly,
right.
I can't say that I didn't think that he was the front runner as well.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, he carried that with him as well when he was talking about putting art up on the walls and so forth.
Yeah.
He I think he's just trying to save face because he understands that it's an open field when it comes to the next election for 2028. And right now, Gavin Newsom is the one who is using the expletives when it comes to talking about his opponents. And Shapiro has to know that what Kamala Harris wrote from her perspective is what she wrote as her story, not his story. Okay. Yeah. Now, and for him to go on to say that there are blatant lies because he was asking questions, and I'm going to assume that she was correct. And because if I was the hiring manager and he was asking those kind of questions, I'm like, does he really want the job, or does he want the big house? Okay.
Well, So,
and besides, he's not going to make it anyhow. He's not going to go beyond being where he is right now. Yeah, he won't become president.
Well, my draw from it, I don't know Kamala Harris. I've never met her like some of you have, but I don't see her as a person who lies, and so I say that I just don't. But anyway, it's her story. And
It's
so it's definitely her story.
But to his defense, though,
Yeah.
If someone has lied on me, I'm also going to say that is not what I said.
And that's not what I said. Defend himself. Yeah.
Right.
Amen. Amen to that. We're going to shift, ladies and gentlemen, and get into some entertainment news with all of you. But before we do that, I want everyone, please, if you can, if you're on this live stream, to please find some time and go to our YouTube page at He Said Live, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Please do that. You all have been, first of all, you made us real good in 2024. So 2025, I'm going to be pushing, asking you to, you can subscribe to us, but you can also tell a friend. Okay, so please tell a friend. And with that, I'm going to move into some, I tell you, our entertainment news. I'm all about the women this week, ladies and gentlemen. And, my story in entertainment, family, we need to take a moment, a big moment, to celebrate a queen who is not just walking runways, she is walking in her purpose. Tonight, I honor Anak Y, officially named Model of the Year at the 2025 Fashion Awards. And let me tell you, her acceptance speech, baby, it was everything. This woman has been nominated in 2023, nominated in 2024, and this year she walked in and claimed what was already hers. And for some of you who don't know who this beauty is, remember that Anak was first discovered on the campus of Howard University. One photographer went viral with and instead of becoming a moment, she became a movement. From there, she redefined what excellence looked like in fashion and in her terms, in her skin, and in her brilliance. And she got up on that stage and gave a master class in power. And I just want to share some of the quotes that I heard and took away from her conversation. One of her speech. One of the things she said was, to become someone, I had to be great. If I was ever going to amount to anything, I'd have to work twice as hard, take twice as many risks, and be the most innovative model I can be. How many times have you all heard that? Okay. Mm-hmm. She also said, I didn't have a trust fund to rely on. What I did have is a bloodline of resilience and strong-willed parents who sacrificed everything for my future. And she said to all the little Black girls watching me right now, your color is not your curse. You are more powerful than you could ever imagine. And then this is what kind of blew me away also. She said the line that shut the room down. I was told my career would only last 6 months. It's been a long 6 months, you all. And she said, huh, and looked at me. So that's the kind of testimony that makes you sit up, like I sit up straight. It's the kind of victory that belongs to every Black girl who has ever been underestimated. That's the kind of excellence we celebrate here on He Said Live. So tonight, on our show, I want to honor, this beautiful African queen, Anak Y, for winning Model of the Year finally in 2025. She had already won it, as far as I'm concerned. A well-deserved win, a well-deserved earned crown, and a legacy she's building in real time. Congratulations, sister. We see you right here. He said live.
Yes, we do. And as you pointed out, that's my girl. Howard University homecoming. That's right. Love it. Love it. So, yes, and she is striking. So next, we want to talk about legendary R&B singer Howard Hewitt. Some of you would remember him from Shalimar fame. He was in this trio that included I love that picture. I love that. Howard Hewitt there, Jeffrey Daniels, and of course, the incomparable Jody Watley. He was discovered by Don Cornelius, actually, of Soul Train fame. Many years ago. So he was reportedly kicked out of a Birmingham, Alabama Sheraton hotel due to a misunderstanding involving Wi-Fi access and room registration. So he was in town to perform with Sherelle, R&B singer as well. And he apparently got to the hotel, called downstairs, and said that, he would like the name that's on the registration so that he can connect to the Wi-Fi. If you guys have traveled, they match the name that's on the hotel room to the room, so the charges are appropriate, et cetera, and applied appropriately. Obviously, in many instances, celebrities, when they travel, do not have their exact name on the room for obvious reasons, security, all those things. So the room was under the name of the promoter, who was also actually with the promoter. He was the third person in that picture that you saw with Sherelle. So Howard is saying, can you give me the name that's on that? I'm here for business, but can you give me the name of, that's actually on the hotel room? They were like, we're not going to give you the name for the hotel room. And in fact, we're sending the police up there because we need to make sure that, why are you in that room if you're not on the, So all this confusion is going on. Howard Hewitt is like, I'm performing here tonight. I'm here as an entertainer. The business promoters take care of the room. So long story short, they're going back and forth. And eventually the hotel decides that they are not welcome. He's not welcome at that hotel now. They literally asked them to leave the hotel before the actual concert. He was there performing that night. And so Howard Hewitt went on social media to really kind of like blast the hotel and go like, these people are making us leave. They're telling us that we will be removed by the police simply because I tried to get the right name on the account to connect to Wi-Fi. Now, apparently he went on, they had a fabulous show. They moved to a nice, another hotel. But Howard was like saying, this is what we're talking about in terms of just general customer service. How many times do you think he and other celebrities have traveled around the world and had to go through something like this? And the Sheraton in Birmingham, Alabama did not handle it well. And fans apparently have gone in and gone like, you all were crazy.
I have to say that my thing is, whoever was working that front desk, they could not have been black.
I think that is an assumption, Shawn. I think that is.
It isn't. I think it's a safe assumption.
But never the fact she wasn't the only person in the hotel, and if she's at the front desk, she is not the one who's making decisions as to who stays and who does not go. That's not what front desk people do.
I have to ask, first of all, how was Howard acting? Because, this had to be elevated. Hi, Michelle Sims. Thank you for joining us tonight. Long time no see.
I think he got
I'm not advocating that he should have gotten kicked out of the hotel. I'm just saying, there's always two sides to every story. And, I'm like, did you take it to a place where you just, I don't know. Did you take it to that place that you could go?
He according to what he was saying in the his online rant, if you will, he did admit that he got really upset about it. And I can't say that I'm really mad at it because I'm just like, I just need to connect to Wi-Fi. Isn't there some way that you can first of all, I would assume that they could have called the promoter. He could have called the promoter.
That's what John just said. John just put a note in here and said, why didn't he call the promoter?
I don't know. But all I know is that in the end, he got riled up enough that they were like, you know what? You can't stay here.
They started singing, what's those boys? What them little boy band? Bye bye. What is that?
That was NSYNC. Bye bye bye.
NSYNC. Bye bye bye. Okay.
I think it was a bad connect. That was bad. But I also know that when you are in the hospitality business, your job is also to de-escalate situations. And there's just a basic level of customer service. And like I said, this is not a man, this ain't his first hotel. He's been to a lot of hotels, and I'm willing to bet that his name ain't ever really on the register.
Well, that's another whole conversation that I'm not even going to go down that road on about, because he was performing with. I'm not going to do that, but you know what? That's why. Let me see, because we do have a new tagline, ladies and gentlemen, that we are using, and I want everybody to understand that tagline because we have different perspectives. And so
He said.
Well, I think one perspective isn't enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we'll go on. But I think the song that Howard should have sang was It's time to say goodbye for now. But anyway,
don't you get us kicked off of here? Okay, you
I was like, you got 3 seconds to sing
okay,
that
you
song.
better go ahead and you better keep going. Don't get me kicked off of here.
I'm curious, I'm curious as to how many of our viewers know that song. But anyway,
amen.
Okay, well, you know it. Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Pharrell Williams, who was in the news recently. So many of us know this Grammy Award-winning recording artist and now fashion leader, if you will. But recently at his 5th annual Black Ambition demo in Miami, he made some comments that had kind of garnered some backlash. And basically at this conference, which was full of diverse people, he stated that he hates politics because it was divisive. And he went on to say some things that really got people ticked off. And so basically, he started going into DEI for the most part. And he started talking about hard work and being Black and what have you and so forth. But let me read something that he said that really got me heated, and I'm still kind of heated about it. He said at this conference, if you will, do you want someone to support your startup because you're Black or because you're the best, he asked. So I think now for me, it's about us having the best ambition. And that's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they happen to be Black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that they're the best, not because of a shade of skin color. He later added, if diversity, equity, and inclusion ever comes back in style, cool. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on being the best because I can bank on that. Now, those comments are what created backlash. And I have to say to Mr. Pharrell Williams, okay, he should know this. It doesn't matter how good we are as Black people. We can be the best in the world. We still may not get that job. We still may not get that promotion. Okay, it's not always about being the best. Okay, and I'm sick and tired of people using Black people as an example of something as it relates to race or DEI. What about all those people who are non-Black or non-brown who get to where they are without being the best? That is never questioned. Why are you always questioning Black people and whether they deserve to be where they are?
Well, part of it is Blackness being synonymous with less than qualified. That it's rooted in the notion that if you are Black, you are innately not as intelligent, not as talented, not as capable. So that is the default of American racism. That, you know, you can say, well, do you want it because you're Black or do you want it because you're good? And I'm like, I'm good and I'm Black. But we live in a society where there's been systemic obstacles based upon my Blackness to keep me away from opportunities that I'm totally qualified for. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, and I'm not going to get into too much on it, but there's something that he said, or that you said that he said about, you know, you shouldn't, you know, you have to, you should get it based on your ability to perform, you know, to do the job. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be a skin color thing. And I because I expect the world. If I'm a customer, I don't care what color you are. I don't care. And I can say without a doubt, people are of a similar skin tone as me get it worse from me, because you should know that you should be better because your opportunities are less. But I get what he's saying, but I'd have to dissect it a little bit more to find like the major problem with what he's saying.
I think it's ignorant, and I think it reflects entitlement. I like it. It is very much
that part.
I know that he's benefited and got
he
to
can say it
right as a result of people who made sacrifices and affirmative action opportunities and grants and things like he's benefited from some of these programs. And so to suggest that they are no longer needed or out of fashion or style reflects, I think, a level of it lacks sensitivity to the realities of people who are not as affluent as he.
Yeah.
And here's the big thing. Okay, you cannot say that politics is divisive. Okay, in the sense that you don't want to take part in it because it is what's creating the divisiveness. And as Black people, we are not benefiting from that. You know, people often say, you've heard this before, if you don't do politics, politics will do you. Okay, and for Pharrell, who is entitled, okay, who has been basically famous and wealthy since age 18, and he's now what, 55, something like that. Okay, what does he recall about being not in the top 5% in this country in terms of wealth? All right. So again, I go back to this thing. All right. We know of many examples of Black people who are the best, and they still don't make it. And why? It's because they clearly are Black. Miriam Anderson could not perform at certain places because she was Black, despite being the best. Okay. And we're still seeing it to this very, 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 very day. Venus and Serena Williams could not play at certain tennis courts merely because they were Black. Okay, so let's not forget that this still happens. And one last thing.
People's homes are devalued when they're being appraised because they are Black.
Black. And this last thing, people forget that the greatest beneficiaries of DEI, the greatest beneficiaries of affirmative action when it first was implemented were white women, not Black women, not Black men. As the majority has always been white women. So if you're going to talk about DEI and only use Black people as the example, that tells me right there that you don't know what you're talking about, because you're talking out of context and not giving the full story as to who actually benefits from DEI and affirmative action. Just like with SNAP, we know that we're not the majority of SNAP users, but yet our image is everywhere when it comes to SNAP.
Right.
It's true. That's true.
All right. Well, thank you. You know what? I'm not going to say cancel Pharrell, but y'all do what y'all need to do. Okay. Y'all heard it came from Shawn. He said it. Okay.
He just needs to have a seat. Like,
okay. Look, I may touch on something you just said, but I want you all to gather around for a bit because you all want to hear this. Here is something to marinate on this season. My girl Zendaya, signed on years ago to play a woman named Anita Hemmings. That's the real woman who back in the 1890s had to hide her Blackness to get into Vassar College. Her crime, being born Black in a world that wasn't ready. Her act, passing as white. Her reward, a diploma. The film is called A White Lie. It sounds dramatic, and very much so, it really is a dramatic movie and painful. But here's the twist. Despite the buzz, the talent attached, the studio backing, we still don't have a movie. 7 or 8 years in, as we are now, this powerful story is still in development limbo. No cameras rolling, no release date, no trailer, no nothing. Zendaya isn't just starring, she's also producing the project alongside Reese Witherspoon, which signals a commitment to telling the story with care and power. So that raises the question for me, you guys. When Hollywood calls something in development, how serious is that really? And is this another story of gatekeeping, stalling a difficult narrative, another promising Black female-driven project that sits on the shelf while lesser stories get tracked, aka documentary of P. Diddy? Because let's be real, if this story deserved to be told back then, it deserves to be told right now. A light-skinned woman, born Black, passing as white to survive, that's historical trauma. It's generational pain, and it's something that still echoes in how we talk about race, identity, colorism, and education. A White Lie it gets made. If this isn't a biopic, it will be a statement. Until then, we just have to wait until and see what's going to happen. But I'm ready to see this movie.
I think you've answered your question around.
Yeah.
It is, you know, they don't want this story to be told. And I will say to you that journalist Toure, Toure, if you go to his social media, he has begun a series of like 4 or 5 minute little snippets on people who have passed, like for white, Black people throughout history who have passed for white, and telling that story. There is something to be said about what would make a person do that, the lengths that they would go, and the constant stress and strain and fear of existing as a white person in a white world, where at any given moment someone could come around a corner and go like, wait a minute, aren't you so-and-so's child? Or aren't you like, it's an extraordinary experience that is not captured in the way that it should. I think Zendaya will probably do an extraordinary job portraying.
I'm sure she will. I'm very sure she will. I brought it up because it's out there now. People are talking about it now, but again, 7 years in, it hasn't been finished.
I encourage people to check out Toure's website, his social media, Toure.
Yeah, Toure, I do recommend Toure as well. But honestly, Alvin, I think the bigger thing as to why this story isn't being told right now is because Hollywood in general is lost. It is all about the money. So there are fewer and fewer studios now. Disney owns this, Paramount owns that, and they are looking at a certain demographic, and they're looking at how can I make the most money. And people don't realize this, but Hollywood is actually hurting right now. It's struggling. And part of the reason why is because they are afraid to make creative stories where they know they can make this amount of money by having a superhero movie. And don't get me wrong, you know, I love DC Comics. You know, I want to see more Michelle Pfeiffer and Catwoman. I want to see more Superman, et cetera, and so forth. But that's not everybody.
Well, we know that we know that we got other actresses that are out there working right now. So I know you're getting ready to talk about, you know, one of them. So
yes.
And if you mention Michelle Pfeiffer one more time, I'm gonna throw something at you.
Okay. Well, another queen, if you will, for some, she's our aunt, and that is Miss Angela Bassett. I'm so happy that one of my favorite TV shows is returning to the airwaves next year, and that is American Horror Story. Okay, this show, if you are a fan of horror, this was the show to watch on FX, and it has been announced that most of the original cast, including Miss Angela Bassett, is returning to this fabulous series. Now, many maybe remember that Angela Bassett played different characters on American Horror Story. One of my favorites was when she played the 3-titty lady. If you haven't seen that season, that was very, very, very good. You have to be a fan of the show. Anyone who's watching American Horror Story.
We also, our producer might ask you, okay, did you read your contract? But go ahead and continue. Continue going.
I do apologize. I didn't want to use the other term. But anyway, American Horror Story. Finally, the 13th season is coming back. So we're going to see Kathy Bates. We're going to see Sarah Paulson. We're going to see Evan Peters. And most importantly, we might actually see. Oh my God! What is? You see, you made me forget her name now. The main actress. Jessica Lange.
Okay.
Yes. So, if you're a fan of witches and horror stories and covens and what have you, American Horror Story is your story. I'm so happy that it's finally coming back on Halloween 2026.
I have to see if I can get into that because I'm not an American Horror Story. I've never been. I think I might have seen a couple of episodes, but it's not my thing. But ladies and gentlemen, he said that you should look at it. Okay, so
on this one, he said it because I'm with you. I don't do the horror thing, so
I'm not gonna be looking at it.
Oh, he said it. So he said, but I'm going to keep us moving because I know we're a little over time, and we really appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. I just wanted to take a moment to I don't live with a whole lot of regrets about things that I should have done and places I could have gone and seen. But this one kind of feels personal, and the fact that I thought about getting tickets to go see the incredible The Boy Is Mine tour between Monica and Brandy, and I'm really starting to feel like I probably should have. And there's one of us of this trio speaking to you tonight who actually did go to the concert and posted the one who was like, your skin looks so beautiful. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so Boy Is Mine tour has been sweet across America and actually wraps up soon on December 14th. And it has been like a massive nostalgic success, a live action versus battle celebrating the iconic 90s R&B legacy, praised for superb vocals, epic hits, and showcasing their evolving sisterhood, because we all know there was a story about them having some beef, but they've not only just taken on the stage by themselves. They've invited Jamal Roberts, of course, who won American Idol, Money Long, and of course their second under them to perform was Miss Kelly Rowland, who has just everything that I've seen about it. She has looked fabulous, sound great, and they even added, because sometimes some of the other the accompanying artists could not make all the shows. They even added in the local area our girl Maya as well, who we saw in one of those images there as well. So it's just been an extraordinary hit of incredible music, fashion, high fashion, the evolution, as I said, of their sisterhood. And what I really wanted to point out is that their last show here in Washington, D.C., they also got to spend some time with our queen, our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama. Look at the three of them right there. Boy Is Mine tour wraps up December 14th. And again, I'm gonna toss it to my boy just to share any reflections that he may have from it. But it's just been a wonderful success, and seeing some of these Black women get up on that stage and just really do some really good things and looking fabulous doing it.
Well, no, I'm going to tell, because for the sake of time, if any of you follow me on my Facebook page, Alvin B. King, I wrote a critique that I just started out just typing, and it has gone so viral of the show. But the show was very good. Bobby, you laid it out very well. I'm a producer and director at heart. It was very well produced. So thank you for even talking about the show, because the show was great. And if you get a chance to see it in your city before it goes, go check it out. But thank you guys for our top stories and for our entertainment news for our folks. And tonight we got a special treat, because we have a Black Excellence series that we want to share with you tonight, something that touched us. So if you all are ready, let's get into Black Excellence. All right, I have the opportunity to share this with you. This week, the nation mourns the loss of Viola Ford Fletcher, who passed away on November the 24th at the remarkable age of 111 years old. Fletcher was the oldest known living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, the white mob attack that destroyed the prosperous Black community of Greenwood District, once known as Black Wall Street. She was just 7 years old when the violence erupted, and her childhood home, along with hundreds of Black-owned businesses, homes, schools, and churches, were burned to the ground. Despite the trauma of the loss, Viola Ford Fletcher spent her life refusing to let memories fade. In 2023, she published her memoir, Don't Let Them Bury My Story, unflinching first-person account of the massacre and its aftermath. Fletcher's life also embodied resilience and determination. And during World War II, she worked as a welder in a shipyard. And later, she supported her family as a housekeeper, working well into the 80s. But perhaps most of all, She became a living bridge between past and present. On the 100th anniversary of the massacre in 2021, she and other survivors testified before Congress, demanding that America remember, acknowledge, and seek justice for what happened in Tulsa. Her passing is not only the loss of a person, but the closing of a direct living link to one of the darkest chapters in our nation's history. Her book, her testimony, and her life's journey remind us that the legacy of Greenwood and Black Wall Street is not just history, but living memory and living responsibility. As we remember Mother Fletcher, I leave our viewers with this. What does it mean for us today to honor Greenwood's legacy? How do we carry forward the story of Black prosperity violently erased, the lives destroyed, and the resilience that refuse to be buried? May we remember, may we learn, and may we act so that stories like Mother Fletcher and lives like hers, Mother Fletcher, live on in justice, recognition, and truth. Rest well, my queen. We speak your name.
We speak your name.
We speak your name. We speak your name. Wow, guys, we're at the end of the show. Thank you all for hanging in with us for our season opening. Oh, the love that I'm feeling in this chair right now is it's magnified. So first of all, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Season 5.
Next week, we are back live again with an amazing show, ladies and gentlemen. We will have mark your calendars. We will have Reverend Dr. Darren W. Phelps to join us next Friday, December 12th, to dive into his groundbreaking book, When the Church Makes Me Curse.
Oh my.
A conversation on faith, truth, and what happens when the church gets real. Darren will be here next week. I cannot wait to talk to him. I've known him for years, but never met him. So I'm looking forward to meeting him. And always, before we close, our words of the week this week are from Colin Powell. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, Colin Powell. Thank you, Bobby Edwards. Thank you, Shawn Nelson. Thank you, Norman, back there doing your wizardry.
And thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mark. You know I love you. Thank you, guys. Oh, okay.
We're back. We're back.
We are back. We're back, and we're going strong. Please go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube page. I can tell if you did it. I can see your name, so don't play with me. Please go do that. I can tell. But thank you all for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on another new live episode in season 5 of He Said, He Said, He Said.
Yeah,
that's great. Oh, wait a minute.
I was waiting for it.
We'll see y'all next week on the next episode of He Said.
He just said, he said.
He said.
Okay. See what happens? He's been on hiatus.
This is water. Okay.
I think he was riding that camel.
You all have a great night, a great weekend. Stay warm wherever you are.
All right, ciao.